Now we're going to have a few presentations of Nizar's poetry. The first part will be presented by Shadi Puri in English. And then, as you know, no matter how much you translate poetry, it's a little different when you read it in its own mother language. So we will have two presentations in Arabic with some injections of English by Mrs. Lana Salka and by Dr. Ali Al-Haddad to follow. So please.
Thank you for your patience and your attendance. Thank you. I'm a big fan of the art of both Nizar Qabbani and Leila Khoury. So it is an honor for me to share with you a few of Qabbani's poems in translation as a proud American of Syrian background and as a proud brother. First one I'd like to read is a lesson in drawing. My son places his paint box in front of me and asks me to draw a bird for him. Into the color gray I dip the brush and draw a square with locks and bars. Astonishment fills his eyes. But this is a prison, Father. Don't you know how to draw a bird? And I tell him, son, forgive me. I've forgotten the shapes of birds. My son puts the drawing book in front of me and asks me to draw a wheat stalk. I hold the pen and draw a gun. My son mocks my ignorance, demanding, don't you know, Father, the difference between a wheat stalk and a gun? I tell him, son, once I used to know the shapes of wheat stalks, the shape of the loaf, the shape of the rose. But in this hardened time, the trees of the forest have joined the militiamen, and the rose wears dull fatigues. In this time of armed wheat stalks, armed birds, armed culture, and armed religion, you can't buy a loaf without finding a gun inside. You can't pluck a rose in the field without it raising its thorns in your face. You can't buy a book that doesn't explode between your fingers. My son sits at the edge of my bed and asks me to recite a poem. A tear falls from my eyes onto the pillow. My son licks it up, astonished, saying, but this is a tear, Father, not a poem. And I tell him, when you grow up, my son, and read the diwan of Arabic poetry, you'll discover that the word and the tear are twins, and the Arabic poem is no more than a tear wept by writing fingers. My son lays down his pens, his crayon box in front of me, and asks me to draw a homeland for him. The brush trembles in my hands, and I sink, weeping.